Welcome to the third Spin-off Austria conference. Spin-off Austria has established the spin-off idea amongst three ministries, has had great support from our President van der Bellen, and established the importance of spin-outs in the Austrian economy, with Austrian universities, and also with our government. We've got a great audience this year with fantastic speakers, and we've got an emphasis this year on semiconductors, which has become a critical technology with respect to technology sovereignty in Europe, and also the green transition, which, as all of you will know, is now the #1 objective of the European Union. So I will hand over to the founder of Brutkasten to tell you about this year's agenda and how we're proceeding with this conference. Over to you.
Hermann, thank you very much, and it's really fantastic to have you here in person with us this year. Last 2 years we had to communicate via connection and internet, and this year we have you here, and it's great to have you here. Very welcome also from my side, Dejan Jovicevic, and my co-host today, like last 3 years, Jasmin Güngör, Managing Director of On-Site Ventures, co-initiator of Spin-off Austria. I will introduce you in a second. Jasmin, welcome, and great that we are doing this together.
Hello, Dejan. It's a pleasure.
Before we talk to each other, just a few organizational information about our platform. First and foremost, we have many areas, as you can probably see. The reception area is the area where you will find the current program at any time. So we have a lot of keynote speakers, we have panels, we have different elements of our program, and you can find the agenda at the reception. Stage is where we are right now. The exciting keynotes and panel discussions are broadcasted here at the stage. Then we have a networking area, which is a very important feature because this conference is also about community building, about peer-to-peer conversation, and you can network and exchange ideas with other attendees. Check it out during the breaks especially, and after the conference. We also have an expo area. Here are our sponsors of the conference. They present themselves with interesting information, so please visit their area as well and get the information about them. And last but not least, via the attendee list, you can write a message to each other, so you can ping each other and have a one-on-one conversation, a video call, or just arrange a meeting for the next time. As in the previous 2 years, we also would like to invite you to interact with us this year. This conference has been known for that. We had a lot of comments, a lot of input that you brought to us, and we will pass all your questions to the moderators. So you have a checkbox called Slido. You don't have to register extra. So just go to that area, to the checkbox, to the Q&A session, to the chat session, and have your question, put your question there for the panelists. We'll pass them over to the moderators. And there's a like function, the like button. So if you like one question that maybe somebody else asked, it will be upvoted. So our moderators will know that this is in particular of interest for our audience and might prioritize your question for them. Before I talk to Jasmin and Hermann a little bit more about the conference, let's start with the first poll. We would like to know, why are you here today and what are your expectations for the event? We'll build a word cloud and then we'll comment the word cloud with Hermann and with Jasmin. So while our audience is giving us some input so that we can grasp where they're from, Jasmin, maybe the first question on you as a founding member. How come has the conference come? What are the inputs? What are the outputs of this conference? What have you achieved?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story because when we started in the second half of 2020, we didn't know that next year in 2021, the Ministry of Education, Science and Research will talk to all the universities and negotiate the new performance agreements. But we had the conference and we were taken seriously. And in 2021, somehow spin-offs made it into the performance agreements and are now a KPI. I think this is a very good development. And we should now see what the universities are doing, should let them do their work and look at the numbers in the coming years. And I have actually a lot of hope because there is now a generational change. There are new rectors. For example, we have now Veronika Sechsel in Innsbruck. We have also a new rector here in Vienna, Sebastian Schützer. And what I'm hearing, they have a positive mindset towards spin-offs. So I guess there's really a lot of hope at the moment.
As for the conference, our audience is answering the questions. Why are they here today? What are the expectations? For example, state of spin-offs in Austria, interesting panel discussions, network, connecting, overview, future. This is actually perfect because that's what we can offer with this conference.
Absolutely right. Yes, and it's just important that people now do take spin-offs seriously and incorporate it into their thinking of what they want to do over the next few years.
Hermann, as godfather of the Silicon Fan, as vice chair of the European Innovation Council, and as member of the Austrian Council, where do you still see need for improvement in the field of spin-offs?
Well, we're still very much at the beginning of this journey. There's a lot more to do. We've only just gotten out of the starting blocks. If you compare the activities in Europe with the activities in the US and now also in China, we are clearly behind in the amount of money and resources that we put into technology transfer. So this is one of the main objectives of this conference.
When we talk about the great green transition, one of the key messages of this conference, do you think that spin-offs will take an important role in driving the innovation in this field?
Absolutely. Spin-offs will play a critical role because many of the breakthroughs that we hope to have in order to change our climate situation will be based on new technologies that are just coming out of our research laboratories.
Yasmin, you have a new role this year. You are also managing director of OnSign Ventures. Are spin-offs relevant in your investment strategy as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, in 2019, I started at Hermann's family office in Innsbruck. And in 2021, I helped setting up OnSign Ventures, and I'm now one of the managing directors. And Hermann with HHI is one of our anchor investors, as well as the family office of Christoph Huber, BioNTech co-founder, as well as the Bank for Tirol and Vorarlberg and the government of Tirol. And we invest in early stage deep tech. We look at focus areas like semiconductors, photonics, additive manufacturing, synthetic biology. And of course, spin-offs are a sweet spot for us. And I think that deep tech or science-based entrepreneurship is really a good investment rationale for VC funds because there are so many grants at the moment. There is the EIC, there is the CHIPS Act, and so on and so forth. And chips, quantum computers, energy, these are critical topics. And the young researchers who want to change the world, they are actually the driving force for innovation. And this is why we should support spin-offs.
Perfect, fantastic. Thank you for your feedback, for answering the question. So the biggest expectation for conference today is network. Excellent. We have the networking area, as I mentioned before. So use it in the break rooms, in the break, so to say. And also you have the opportunity to ping other participants and have one-on-one meetings or to arrange a meeting in the future. Future is also one of the keywords, expectations of your conference today, and we can definitely deliver on that. Hermann Hauser, also you're one of the assets of the conference, as our audience also just wrote here. We have another question for you before we move on, and that's a poll. To which group do you belong? University, public institution, founder, investor, or others? So we are also curious to know what is your role? Are you founder? Are you public institution, university, investor, or others? So maybe we can then also interact with you in different ways. Hermann, everybody's talking about the economic situation currently. How is this economic situation relevant for spin-offs? Will it be negative, positive effect? Do you have any opinion on that?
Well, it's actually both. It's of course negative in the sense that the valuations are down considerably, that investments are much harder to come by, valuations that quite honestly were unrealistic in 2020 and then even more so in 2021 have disappeared. But on the plus side, if you look at the great successes in technology, many of these great successes, including Google and a number of the other great American companies, were actually started through a recession. And also venture capital funds that get funded during a recession have better returns than those that have vintages during a boom period. This is, of course, not surprising because during a recession, the valuations are better, and what you really want to buy, you want to buy cheap during a recession and then sell hopefully during the cycle when the cycle is up again and the valuations are good again. But it's true both for the venture capital industry and the startups that recessions are actually the best time to start a new technology company.
And have you seen that in the past already?
I've lived through 4 such cycles, so I both have the difficult experiences and the knocks of a recession, and then the delightful, wonderful experiences when everything is going well. And we're going through a difficult period, and the number one thing that all of us need to do now is to make sure that our companies don't run out of cash. So cash becomes king during a time of a recession like now.
Perfect. Thank you, Hermann, for these insights. We already have the answers from our audience. Approximately, the poll is still going on, so our team can still leave it on. University, 38% of participants. Others, 26%. Investors, 19%. Public institutions, 9%. And founders, approximately 7%. So this is approximately the ratio of today's audience, and we're happy for all of you, and ask you again, please interact with us, send us questions that we can then pass over to our panels and moderators. Yasmin, before we start with the first panel, obviously a conference like this one cannot take place without excellent partners. Could you introduce them as well?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to take the chance to present all the sponsors to the audience. There is Erste Bank and Sparkasse, and they have sponsored every Spin-off Austria conference so far. A big thank goes also to the WKO, the Austrian Economic Chambers, and to the IV, the Federation of Austrian Industries. Both are sponsors for the second time. And last but not least, many thanks also to the FFG, the Austrian Research Promotion Agency. The team has helped us since the very first conference, and this year they are also a sponsor with the Global Incubator Network Austria, and of course also On-Site Ventures, our company, sponsors the conference. But I don't want to only mention the companies. What matters are the people behind the scenes, and here I have to thank Dagmar Eigner-Steng from the Steiermärkische Sparkasse, Petra Huber from the Federation of Austrian Industries, Kambis Kohansal from the Austrian Economic Chambers, and Werner Müller from FFG. And I also want to thank all the cooperation partners who share our mission and vision towards spin-offs. And we are now continuing with the first item on our agenda, a VC panel called Selling Spin-offs to Non-European Corporates, Right or Wrong. And I want to tell you a story here. At that point, in March 2022, I was invited by the Enterprise Europe Network to join a meeting in Innsbruck at the Seegrube. You may know it. This is a small ski resort that we directly have in Innsbruck. And they discussed funding by the European Innovation Council on that day. And there was the Standortagentur Tirol and other agencies, and also FFG. And Christian Frey from FFG asked me that day if I feel it is right that the VC industry sells European spin-offs to non-European companies. And when I heard the question, I was a bit baffled, but I thought, hey, that is really a topic we should bring up at the Spin-off Austria conference. And I'm happy that Christian is here and that he can speak today on the panel with the leading European figures in the VC industry, Jeanette zu Fürstenberg from La Familia, Jason Whitmire from Blue Yard, Siraj Khalik from Atomico, and Martin Brunko from the EIC, who has also a senior role at Binance. And I hand over to Chris from Sifted, who will grill our panelists with tough questions.